Welcome to Family Jewels,
a podcast about family drama, family trauma, and everything else you got from your mama. Family Jewels. When you're here, you're family.
Cease and desist from Olive Garden pending.
This is my sister from another Mr. Charlie Dinkin.
And this is my glamorous colleague, Olga Koch.
We started this podcast because when you talk shit about other people, it's gossip.
But when you talk shit about your family, it's research.
Today we are joined by the multi-hyphenate, the one and only.
Truly, stand-up. Mainly stand-up. Yeah. Writer, but podcaster. Would you consider yourself an actor?
Yes and no. I do act and have acted, but I've not done anything recently. So,
all right.
It's on my website, stand-up writer actor. So I'd love some acting jobs. Sorry, let me retake that. Yes, I am an actor. Book me for acting jobs.
The producer of this very show, Mr. Andrew White.
Hello. Woo. Thank you.
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. A glamorous colleague is the most positive introduction you've ever given Olga. It's quite
I know.
Nice.
I couldn't think of anything mean to say.
There is this late night talk show interview of Grace and Frankie stars. Is it Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda?
Yes. Yeah.
And so Jane Fonda is like, Lily Tomlin's my sister. She's everything to me. I love her. And Lily Tomlin's like, Jane Fonda's a woman I work with. After watching
that is our dynamic.
And I was like, oh my God, this is us. In 20 years? You'll never know how old we are. Andrew.
Yes, hello.
First and foremost, can you talk us through your family tree?
Wow. In preparation for this, I got my mother to research my family tree back to the 800s, just for this podcast. No, it's a personal hobby of hers. She does it all the time.
Thank you, Mummy.
But
what resources does she use for this?
I believe she goes on like ancestry.com. We definitely got her some sort of package for Christmas.
Okay.
My granddad really liked doing that. He passed away this year, but he really loved going through all our family history.
Do you go to the National Archive? Do you go to a library?
Well, it's at a sort of dead end. So we do need to go to a physical place.
Wait, so how far back did you get?
So it goes to the 1500s, and then there's a massive gap, and then we know that we came over from with the Norman invasion.
1500s surely is enough. Surely goes far enough.
She's not happy. She's never satisfied.
She's got to know.
Yeah, until we get back to like Charlemagne or whatever, like the.
So French. You're French.
Yeah, well, Norman, I believe. I think Norman and French.
They're not French, are they?
No.
They are just their own thing.
Yeah, well, they are. I think they are now. They probably could say they're French, but certainly in the invasion, the Normans hated the French. So yeah. It's always worth considering. But yeah, otherwise this goes all the way back to 1500 to Swaffham. So we have to go to Swaffham to get the archives. If we want to go further, that's what we need to do.
So you've been on this island for ages.
Well, as in stuck on like the on the UK island.
Yeah,
Sorry, yes,
stuck
yeah.
on the project, the island of you and your mother sorting out.
Yeah, I thought it was like a metaphorical island.
Both.
Yeah. We've been here since the Norman. Yeah, 1066. That would have been Crazy.
Wow.
And I know this from is it Bayeux Tapestry?
Yeah, have you seen the Bayeux Tapestry?
I've seen pictures of it. I've not seen the actual tapestry.
Okay, first and foremost, one of the best tourist attractions I've ever gone to because you get the audio and you walk and it's essentially a narrated comic strip. It's like you're watching a cartoon.
It's
great. Amazing.
That's
it's so cool. And I bet some of your ancestors are actually on it.
That'd be cool.
Because they've got loads of like fight scenes with armies. Who knows? Who knows what the top of the head
is?
is?
Wait, it literally does look like a comic strip.
Yeah. It's sick.
That was the original Dilbert.
Yeah.
Was the Bayeux tapestry.
Does it tell the
Kathy
story?
in the corner going, the Normans are invading.
Is it the story? Is it just like the vibe of war? Or does it tell the story?
It's the
order?
story with
That's
like
pretty
scenes.
Cool.
It's really, really cool. And then basically everything, because it was shown to people who couldn't read as a history lesson. So they would tour it around and be like, yo, here's what happened. And they'd be like, cool.
It is amazing. Like, obviously, propaganda is never a fully accurate historical thing. But it is cool that the propaganda in the old days used to have a lot of effort put into it. Like, it was like
and
embroidered and stuff. Yeah. Like, imagine if Breitbart was embroidered. That would be fantastic. I'd appreciate
You'd have to
it.
think a little more, wouldn't you, about the hate you were spewing.
If everyone on GB News was in drag, I'd watch.
Oh, my God. Well, do you know my drag act?
Wait, what is it?
Oh my God,
We got to get
sorry.
into this.
Wait.
Okay, a new era for stand-up comedian.
It did
Andrew
add
White
to my hyphenates. Drag queen.
I can't believe I didn't say that. You're gonna love this.
My drag act, Jan Honkers.
Okay, first of all, you're slaying.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you look genuinely amazing in that outfit.
My boyfriend Reese did the Yeah, they're pretty perky.
To describe it for our audio readers, I think everything is reading now. Every time I say I've read a book, I'm like, oh no, wait, that was a TikTok. For our audio readers, for our esteemed intelligent audio readers, you're wearing, I would say, a gorgeous suit. I genuinely would wear that. It's not.
I bought it for myself. This is
Stunning.
I just sort of had
Not
it.
even a joke. Fantastic. Like almost like a mosaic, small mosaic pattern, but black and white.
Tootsie if she slayed.
Yeah, exactly. And then like a crop, more than a pixie, if you will. And some rather fabulous earrings. And who did your makeup?
My boyfriend Reese did my makeup. He did a
job,
very
right?
good job, especially because he's never done it before.
What?
That's his first attempt
Really
at
Wait,
doing
how did
makeup.
actually, I don't.
How did he get the line so straight?
He's annoyingly good at artistic things, including
God damn
makeup.
it.
Oh, it's
I
annoying.
feel like I just am getting worse and worse and worse at makeup as time goes on. I can't get it to stay on my face. Anytime I put it on, it's just like I'm like House of Wax melting off. I don't even think I'm like that oily or sweaty. Well, maybe I am. I've been a bit sweaty in the shoulder months, but I feel like if I put anything on, even if it's the most permanent makeup, it's like
Look,
immediately off.
every year I take one item off the rotation. Like I haven't used eyeliner in years. It's like every year the routine just gets simpler.
You're just
and
like, I
simpler.
can't. You're just all lip now.
So if it's melting,
Get rid of it.
don't even put it on in the first place.
Well, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
So what's the act? Are you allowed to reveal? Are you exclusively revealing?
I don't know if it's an exclusive. I think I may have mentioned it on Trusty Hogs.
All right,
but
fine.
it might be out by the time this comes out. Actually, so she is Britain's only right-wing drag queen,
Okay, love.
and she's got a show called The World Gone Honkers, and it's like a GB News parody basically. So there's like just segments of her like solving like some issues in the news and moaning about wokeness, and there's an interview segment with my friend Max, and yeah, so that'll be on my YouTube, and
That's
it's
really
basically
funny.
GB News in drag. Yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
We love. Check it out. You
Thank
must
you.
check it out.
Yeah.
Back to the Bayou Tapestry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, I forgot how it started.
Well, actually, I am interested. So, are you the first performer in your family? Are there other people?
I'm not. No, actually, my granddad, who obviously I've mentioned before, he was a musician, and his grandfather, or his father, either way, one of his
A back in time man.
A back in time man was a preacher in the Welsh Valleys, and was known as like the silver-tongued preacher, and was like
I'm sorry, what?
Silver-tongued preacher.
yeah, the silver-tongued preacher of the Rhondda Valley. He's like very famous for all of his sermons. I was about to say, I was going to say lectures, but that's not the right word.
It is a lecture, isn't it? In a way.
It is very, but not these ones. They were very entertaining, apparently. So he
What
had
kind of years? What era are we talking?
late 1800s, early 1900s. I think it must be my granddad's granddad, timeline wise.
Do you know what his name was?
I think it was Edward, but I'm not 100%.
I mean, they were proto stand-up comedians, weren't they? They were addressing congregation every Sunday. You got to have new material.
Yeah.
You got to make it local. You got to make it relevant to them, topical.
And he would travel around. I think he would like cycle around the valleys and do like, because I suppose it was so rural that he'd do like, this village on Monday, that village on Tuesday, and sort of.
Oh, he just cover them all.
Yeah.
I love that. Good for him.
So he was. I suppose he's the first person we can look at and say, oh, he's a performer. And then my granddad was a musician.
What kind of musician?
Or pianist, but he did everything. Clarinet. Also, he was a very talented musician. And,
You got to get the clarinet out.
Yeah.
Everyone's least favorite, but most their instrument.
Is it because it's very easily transportable?
I don't think it's very easily anything. I played the clarinet, but only because I was told I was too small to play the saxophone when I was a child.
Did you want to play the sax?
I wanted to play the sax.
You wanted to be Lisa Simpson?
I wanted to be Lisa Simpson.
That's a
But I
I
was
can see
quite a
that.
young. I guess I must have been 8, and then they told me I was too small for it. I had to play the clarinet. But I don't think that's true.
That's not true. Surely there must be some other like behind the scenes lie that is.
My
covering
parents
up.
didn't want to listen to it, maybe. That was a big theme in
Yeah.
our household, things that my parents didn't want to listen to. But all I'll say is later on at a different school, my senior school, they had a school orchestra and no one played the bassoon in the school orchestra. So they said, if anyone wants to play the bassoon, we'll lend you a bassoon and maybe you could have like some lessons for free. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. I mean, the bassoon is like the worst instrument in every conceivable way. Do you know what it's like? Huge.
I can imagine, but like, why is it the worst? Is it
Huge,
because it's
heavy,
too big?
huge, massive,
Yeah.
massive, like this. Like you're a child and it's like huge, huge, huge. I had like literally 3 lessons and then they were like, you're in in the band. All I remember is I played with the orchestra once. We walked out into this room where the orchestra was playing, and I hit my bassoon on the top of the door frame.
No.
And it like crumbled into pieces.
No.
And then I had to put my bassoon back together, which I didn't fully know how to do because I hadn't been playing it very long. Well, every single person watched, and then my teacher was like, "You should test a note." And the bassoon, honestly, it was like I played it, and it was like. And then everyone clapped for me, and then I sat in the back and I didn't play a note the rest of the show. I just couldn't be bothered. I just held it and pretended.
I like the idea that they just wanted the visual, a
Yeah, it
postcard
just
of an
wanted a
orchestra.
bassoon in the back.
That's fantastic.
That's what
One
the
of
movie
everything.
Tar is about.
A kid at my school played the harp, and not like my age, like several years younger. I think he was like year 7 when I was like leaving sixth form. But he used to see this little year 7 traipsing a full harp
how can he
into
do
school
it?
for his music lessons. Yeah,
Do you carry it like a snail?
he did. Yeah, he
you can,
did.
like, push it even. Was it a small one?
No, well, it was. I suppose it was smaller than a full harp, but it was still big, you know. Especially where he was
My
literally like
brother was
11.
a cellist, cello bad as
Oh,
well
yeah.
for size.
Charlie and I have this bit called doing a big, which is
Ooh.
when you see a grown adult doing something extremely childish, like having 3 glasses of orange juice, and you're like, oh, that's a child in a grown adult's body, right?
Like the
You're doing
Like
movie.
Tom Hanks big,
Yeah,
yeah,
doing
yeah.
a big. I think it's a reverse big if a child is playing harp.
I agree,
That's
a
an
child
old
doing a
soul.
really
That's an
adult
old.
thing.
That's an old soul.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. It
Trapped.
started because we went to Mac Comedy Festival, slept one night in a tent, worst night of my whole entire life. I honestly thought we were going to die.
Yeah.
We were so unprepared. Everyone else we were meant to be sharing a tent with had been there the night before and had given up already, but no one told us it was too cold and impossible. I was like hallucinating.
It was like
in the night.
Sub-Zero how bad it was.
Jeez.
It was
Yes,
horrendous.
God.
And then we got up in the morning and we were like, we're going to have a fancy breakfast. We went to a fancy breakfast place and there was a man eating it's not a coupe, is it? It's like one of those ice cream glasses. He was having a big ice cream.
For
he was having a big
breakfast.
ice cream and an orange
That's
I
a
love
big.
that.
That's a big.
We were like, that guy is doing a big.
100%. That's all I needed to know. That's all the scientific evidence I needed.
That's fantastic. Imagine if you do end up in a sort of big situation where you've had this body swap and you're in Machynlleth. That's who it happens to. Somebody in a random Welsh
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
And why
The
not?
silver tongue preacher.
Yeah.
So your family, do you consider, where do you consider your family to be from? Are you like, when you're like, where are you from? Are you like, I'm a bit Welsh, I'm a bit...
No, I'd say Bournemouth mainly.
Born
Yeah.
and bred.
Yeah.
We are Bournemouth.
So my granddad, he does have Welsh roots, but he moved to Bournemouth. So he was stationed in Bournemouth during the war and would stay at my nan's house. They'd be like put up as like lodgers,
Yeah.
while they were traveling. And then my nan and her sister would like try and fight over and flirt with the bandsmen that had come from the army.
Wait, so he was doing music for the army?
Yeah. So he was an army musician. He played at the Queen's Coronation actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, in the military band.
Wow.
And he they'd come every year for whatever this thing was. I guess like a regular annual concert. And so my granddad was like 17, 18 and met my nan when she was like 14. And then 3-4 years later they went on a date and then they've been married. Well, they were married for ages. What's that? 60 years? Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have a party for their, is it golden at 60?
I think it is. And they got a letter from the Queen and everything.
That's exciting.
Yeah. What did they do? I can't remember. We used to have a lot of family parties, so they all sort of blend into one.
Yeah.
Lots of buffet food and the
60
time warp.
years is amazing. That's a long time.
Yeah,
You've got to meet real young to make 60 happen.
Oh, for sure. And they met real young, and they got real old. Like my granddad was 90 this
Yeah.
year. He got to 90 this year. Yeah.
That's amazing. So he was going back every year and he was staying at their house. Mm-hmm. So he was like forming a relationship with the family.
Yeah. And
That's
then
nice.
and then when he was finished with army stationing, he just moved to Bournemouth. And then so I'd say our family is Bournemouth. My dad's Essex, but I've lived in Bournemouth since I was like 3. So yeah,
What's it like?
it's all right. It's very dead.
It's all right. It's basically horrible, but I like it.
It is nice. I like the beach. We moved to Salisbury like when I was a teenager for school. So I'd say I'm from Salisbury because there's other people from Bournemouth, whereas I can claim to be like the only Salisbury comedian. So marketing-wise, I say I'm from
All
Salisbury.
right, we like that.
They're both sort of retirement cities, really. So there's nothing going on. There's not much for young people. It was great when I was starting comedy because I started up all the comedy nights. I'd be like, put on a comedy night. And everyone was like, there's nothing else on. So it's all right. It's not ideal. I like going back, but I don't want to live there.
I'd say this is very in the spirit of the silver tongue preacher. to start doing your own nights?
Yeah, setting up
In
my own
hotels.
little
What else do you know
congregations.
about him? What else were you ever told about him?
Not much. There's a few like news articles about him from like the Welsh Valley papers, and we've got his certificate to be a preacher, like the Baptist certificate. That's just in our lounge at the moment. Yeah.
Can we?
Really
I
much
don't want to
else.
dwell on this, but can we go back to your
Family
tree and
Yeah.
just can you give us like a whistle stop tour? And if there's like specific characters you want to shout out,
Okay. So
like a cast of characters.
these are all my aunts and
Set the
uncles.
scene. Yeah.
Any fun ones?
Not really. They're
Who's your
all-
favourite aunt or uncle?
This is. I hope they don't listen to this, but my
We need it
favorite
on the
is
record.
my aunt Donna and my uncle Steve. They're very lovely. They're very down to earth. Dave's he's a bit further out, so we don't get to see him as much.
Yep.
Andy is very nice, but he's very well off, so it just doesn't quite have the same.
You can't understand.
Yeah. Whereas Donna and Steve are very, very lovely and
They're
down
the
to
ones.
earth. Yeah, they're the ones, and they come to a lot of my comedy gigs. They're very
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
good.
go.
Well, then they've earned
Yeah.
their place.
They're
Also,
very
I do
nice.
think down to earth is a compliment that's often given to people who you don't expect to be. Like down to earth is something you would tell a celebrity. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So down to earth.
Yeah. I'm going to start, when people ask what you're like, I'm going to start saying so down
So-
to
earth. There's a great sort of like underlying, because it's not just like, oh, she's really like nice and relatable. It immediately implies that she's actually very well off, and you don't know.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how you start it, right? It's like saying like, oh my gosh, she looks amazing for her age. What?
That's really good. I'm going to start adding that just for their age.
I'm going to say that
Okay.
about you as well. That's even better.
She's very down to earth for her age.
She's she looks fantastic for her age.
It is the ultimate compliment. Down to earth and
fantastic.
fantastic for my age.
Yeah. All right. So we aunts and uncles. We're done.
Aunts and uncles.
Who is the oldest person in your family that you ever met in person?
It would have been my granddad. I think maybe I met my nan's mum, Granny French, but I would have been a wee babby, so I don't remember that.
Fine.
Okay,
So,
lots of things going on. Granny French, wee babby.
a wee babby, yes.
Is this a Bournemouth accent thing, or is
No,
you
that's
being
just
cute?
me being cute.
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
guess.
He just was a wee babby. Of course you were a wee babby.
Yeah,
Look at you now. You were. Of course you were.
Still are. You're
just a little wee
24.
babby. Yes,
You were
yeah.
born in 99?
99, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
We can't get into that. That's too upsetting.
the risk of the risk of a Y2K baby. Your parents really said, we don't give a shit.
So who back further than that do you know something about?
Let's see. So my granddad's brother Ivor, he was his older brother. He died in the war. He was on him and his other brother were both in the Navy. One of them sank and went down with the ships. That's Ivor. So yeah, this is Thomas Padgett, my granddad, and then his dad was John Padgett, born 1846. So that would be the Silver-tongued preacher, I
Silver-tongued
believe.
preacher.
Yes. And then they're all in like Wales. Then they end up in Wiltshire and Somerset for a bit, Bristol, and then it's Swaffham all the way back. So they're all Norfolk people, Norfolk folk from 1500 till about 1700.
Do you know what records exist there? If you went back to look, do they have a?
We know exactly. It's in Swaffham Priory. We'd have to go into the.
You must.
Yeah. What I do know though, I've just remembered this because I've noticed further back on the family tree. So our family name is Padgett, P-A-G-E-T-T. But if you go further back, it's spelt differently with one T, because the Padgetts were actually a very wealthy family. And
Very down to earth.
very down to earth, but very wealthy.
And look fantastic for their age.
And Leeds Castle is.
That's where I was like, where have I heard the name?
Yeah, it was owned by the
Padgett?
Padgetts. And if you go, oh my god, it's crazy. If you go and see the like portraitures, just portraits or portraiture. I don't know why I mixed that up.
I would not know the difference. It sounds
No,
good.
Yeah.
If you go and see the portraits, they look so much like my cousins. Like there's a picture of a young like girl from like the 1800s or something. It's painting and it looks exactly like my
Wait,
cousin.
so they
Emily.
are relatives? Of
They are
yours?
relatives, but what happened was our line of the family lost all the money, went bankrupt, had to start again with two T's. So it goes P-A-G-E-T.
Did they?
T.
So they didn't let them use the full name anymore because they
Had
were
to start
broke?
again, yeah. I can see it. I can see the pain in my mother's eyes every time she's writing her name or her maiden name. And she goes
T.
P-A-G-E-T-T. T. Yeah. And
Do you
then,
know how they lost their money?
I don't know what happened, no. But I've met other Padgetts that are still rich.
One T Padgett.
One T Padgetts that descended from the
Well, you
rich
should
side.
also. I bet they have their family tree very well documented.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think this might be a collaboration because my mum spoke to them a little bit. So this is.
So where did it become the double T?
Here we go. So John, just before we moved to Wales, so that is the 1800s.
What?
Charlie,
Yeah.
the same thing happened to Charlie's family because she's from the Duncan Empire.
The donuts. People always, when I was a child, would be like, Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, no money. But did I tell you that my dad was like, I think have I literally told this story already on this podcast?
Which bit?
That my dad was like really desperate to find someone rich in our...
No.
My dad did our family tree, and you could just like see it in his eyes that he was just like he was desperate to find out we were like had some like landed gentry or some like lords or some shit back in time. But there's just no way. There's no way on either side that could happen. But anyway, he like through a series of things seemed to think that we were connected to this family, the Griswolds or whatever, and then he contacted like truly the same time period or even like the 1500s, and then he contacted the Griswold family trust in America, and they were like, no, you are not related
Delete
to
my
us.
number.
Never call us again.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, he just wanted, I don't know why he wanted it. He wanted something, but it's like, there's no way in our family.
He wanted to Anastasia.
Yeah.
Everybody secretly wants to be Anastasia.
He's
Yeah,
looking
of
for the
course.
look. I do respect that he's looking for the lost millions, but it's like if you can track the lost millions from your great aunt 10 times removed who had no kids, and it's going to the RSPCA or whatever, like all power to you.
The problem is we can track the lost millions, but we
That
know
is
that we have lost them.
devastating.
So it's like we don't have any claim to it. It's like, yeah.
So but Leeds Castle is older than then.
Yeah.
So your family also, that is your family.
And it is genuinely striking, the family resemblance. And you actually get free entry to Leeds Castle if you can prove you're a Padgett. They'll let you in for
What?
free.
Did you do it?
Yeah, we've been. It's nice. I like it there. I feel
feels like home.
feel belonging. Yeah.
That is crazy. So you think they look like your cousins, but not so much like you. Something about your cousins.
Yeah, my cousins are more Padgett. My dad's genes are strong. I showed you a picture earlier of my dad when he was my age.
you really look like your dad.
He's really won the sort of genetic race.
So this is all your mom's side of the family.
This is all my mum's side of the family.
What's your dad's side of the family like?
Well, that's a mystery. That really is a mystery that he's not even willing to entertain. My mother is obsessed with genealogy, and my dad will not give her any information. I think part of what happened is that my granddad, my dad's dad, he was raised by his grandparents, and I don't know what's happened there, but basically,
My grandma was raised by her grandparents.
But do you know what's happened there? Or?
Yeah, so I've told you this before, but basically, siege, is that the word? How you pronounce it? There was a siege of Leningrad. So the Nazis took it over and completely shut up the city. And as they were beginning it, only kids and really old people were allowed to leave. So her mom put her on a train and said, go to your grandparents. And her mom died in the siege. Wow. So she was raised by her grandparents, and my grandma used to call her grandparents mom and dad.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's an amazing
That's
story.
a great
and what a hard thing to have done, but like such a brave thing to have done.
Yeah, to just like let your kid just go.
Yeah.
So that it just skips a generation, like a generation's just gone, but they managed to like endure because of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's really beautiful. That wasn't what happened to our family, was it?
Wait,
No.
so wait, what?
I don't
why
know
did they
what
skip?
does happen, but my dad is very sort of like, he's not necessarily bothered by blood. He is like, you know,
My
it's
Tinder
like,
profile.
his that is the one hard limit on every grinder profile, by the way. They're like very few limits, just blood and shit, and sometimes not even shit. Sometimes it's just blood. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought that up. But just you said that triggered a memory of my grinder days. Anyway,
Your grinder days and your granddad days, all in one.
Much like your granddad, you were not bothered by blood. Yeah.
But in the sense that my granddad's grandparents were effectively his parents, so my granddad thinks of his great grandparents as his grandparents, and he doesn't care what happened to my granddad's actual parents, or he may know, but he doesn't want to find out, or he doesn't want to share it, because in his mind, that's who raised him, so they're my grandparents, and that's the end of it.
Fine.
So there's some.
Wait, so
that line goes
your
cold.
grandparents are your great grandparents?
No, my great grandparents are actually my great great grandparents.
So your dad doesn't know his granddad.
Yeah. But
He only knows his great granddad and
As
his
his
dad.
granddad.
yeah.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, that is his granddad. He
Yes.
doesn't care or want to address what happened. Yeah.
How much of a age difference is there? Do you think there was like a very young pregnancy or something?
I don't know. I literally, I'm very out of touch with anything above my granddad's generation. Really, we sort of lost. I just got grandparents.
Yeah, it's hard if there's no records and no. I think I have one remaining grandparent, and I think she's like just a little bit losing it now. She's in her 90s. She loves to complain about how her neighbor repeats herself all the time and doesn't listen. And it's like, Sheila, you neither. You know what I mean? You got no idea what you're talking about. But you can like feel, I'm like, oh, all these things. I do have stories from her, but like the time to really ask for way back stories is gone. And it makes her sad to think about them. So she doesn't even really want to tell you about it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, no one else can access that. That then is gone.
That is definitely like when my Uncle Bill died, for example. So that's my granddad's brother. He had so many like war stories, and like he was like one of the first aircraft carriers in the world, and they just used to lose so many planes. They'd be like, okay, test maneuver, turn left, and they turn left, and all the planes would fall off. And fuck, gotta go back for some more planes.
What?
Yeah.
All the time, their planes were just sliding off the boat.
Because there was it's such a new thing to have like an aircraft carrier in the sea.
Oh my God.
And
You never see this on Top Gun.
But my mum and my dad would always say, "Oh, we wished we talked to Bill more because he had so many interesting stories."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
but I do know that an interesting thing has happened in your dad's family recently.
Yeah, I think this must have happened 2018. So my granddad moved the family over to South Africa in the 70s.
This is the granddad whose biological parents we don't know anything about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my dad's dad.
What's his name?
Peter.
Peter.
He's called Peter. My uncle's called Peter, and my brother is called Peter.
Okay.
Peter.
A lot
3
of
generations.
Peters.
Yes.
Do you distinguish with a different name, or everyone goes by Peter?
Junior, senior?
Well, I suppose no.
Petey and
Big. My mum.
Pete.
My mum calls Granddad and Uncle Peter Big Pete and Little Pete.
Okay.
But I just call them Granddad, Uncle Peter, and then my brother's just
Fine.
Pete,
So you've got good names for them all. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Peter won.
Yes, moved to South Africa in the 70s. Apparently there's a lot of building work. He was a builder by trade. So they went over to South Africa. Him, my dad and his twin brother, and their sister, my aunt, and my grandma, who sadly died in 2006, which we shall come back to. Ooh.
Pin it.
Pin in that. I've just I've removed the excitement of the callback there by foreshadowing it. But anyway, the point is
It's called Chekhov's gun.
They moved to South Africa.
Sorry, Chekhov's grand.
Chekhov's grand. Moved to South Africa, lived there for several years, came back, I guess probably 11, when my dad was about 11 or 12, so that would be in late 70s, early 80s. And then that's all I knew of that period.
Yes.
And then 2018, somebody gets in touch via my dad's cousin to say that they are a long-lost relative. They're from South Africa. And what happened was my nan fell pregnant in South Africa. So they had a fourth child, an extra sibling, who is now my uncle, Justin. And they left him in South Africa. They put him up for adoption. And he was adopted by a very good family. He was adopted by like a UN secretary or something something crazy like that. So he's had a very good life. But it's very interesting about it, on the point of nature or nurture. Even though he's been raised by like lawyers and UN people and like such a respectable household, he's a real tearaway. He feels like he was like he's an Essex lad.
Yeah,
it's so strange.
There's something in him.
Because we've met him because he got into contact via a cousin. His wife, very thankfully, is a private investigator, and my mother is.
Oh my god, that's
a great
cool.
wife. That's a great
wife.
So cool.
And my mother was also searching for him because she's a massive family history fan. So they just sort of ended up meeting in the middle.
So was it known by your dad's immediate family that this kid existed?
Well, here's what happened, right? Okay, Chekhov, you're gonna love this. On my nan's deathbed, she handed over a piece of paper and she had his name written down and his date of birth. So she'd always had his information, and always. So when she died, they all found out about this extra sibling.
I literally have goosebumps right now.
And yeah, it was sort of just never addressed. It was sort of, I think, so awkward amongst the siblings, and obviously Granddad didn't want to talk about it, so it just got left. But my mum knew about it, and my mum is nosy. And was just
good for your
desperately
mum.
like
She's a private investigator too.
Yeah. Oh, she used to be a lawyer. Well, she still is a lawyer, I guess. So yeah, she's got that sort of instinct to dig.
So she wrote this name down and no one cared.
I don't know whether they're a very repressed group.
I mean, it sounds like
yeah.
it.
I mean that thing about
It's
like
hard.
my
That's a hard thing
granddad's
to deal with.
parents.
Yeah.
It's not as much as my dad presents it as a matter of pride. Like, no, that's who raised me, so that's who matters. It is just like.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, so Granddad Pete still alive?
Yes.
How did he feel about this?
Did he
being
meet his
revealed?
He
kid?
did. So yeah, so they got in contact, I guess, 2017,
This
and they
is
came
blowing my
over
mind.
to the UK in 2018. Because I showed you the picture of the three of them, didn't I? My dad, his twin, and Justin.
Yeah, and they look
exactly
exactly the same.
It's like no denying the genealogy of it all. And yeah, they came over. It was crazy. It was really weird seeing them together. Like his personality, like so matched my dad's. His look was obviously exactly the same. It was strange. I think my granddad, who's obviously a very repressed man and very traditional sort of, man of the house. This is how things should be done. He's calmed and eased in his later life, but he's still. I don't think he wasn't warm to the idea. He didn't reject it, but he wasn't warm to the idea.
and it's his child too.
Yeah. So he's not. I don't think he's made much effort to sort of like keep in contact.
Do you have any? I mean, this is all very personal stuff now, but it's like, did any of them ever give a reason why they? What did your new uncle seem to think would have been told to him?
I've only been privy to bits and bobs. Is my mum loves to bitch? My goodness, she doesn't. She would never say that. She never admit that, but she does. And like
Again, she's a definition of it's gossip if it's not your family, but if it's your family, it's
I
research.
love
100%. Oh well, she's been researching her whole life. Let me tell you. Actually, genuinely, she used to like drive me into school. I'd be like, I don't know, like 9 or 10, like late primary school, early secondary school, and throughout all my school years, really. She'd be like driving me to school, just be like moaning about, and your dad won't do this, and he won't do that, and of course, Al goes back to his father because of this, and I'm like, I'm 11. Why? This is also my father. But she's told me, I think she just trusts me as like I guess I am maturer than my other siblings and perhaps my dad as well. I've been told I have the vibe of somebody raised by their grandparents.
You have the vibe of someone who would play harp in a.
Yeah.
You're definitely mummy's little assistant. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Well, on that exact note, when I'd say 10, 11, my mother said to me that I would be the executor of her will.
Oh wow!
And
Thank you, mummy. I'm ever so grateful.
You were like, let's get the papers out. I'll read them through now.
And here it is, the will is ready, and I am the executor.
You are.
I am indeed. It all came true.
Oh man.
She
Yeah.
did actually raise you from birth to do that. She
Yeah,
made
yeah.
it seem like it's like, oh, your personality developed and then that's who you are.
Oh my God, what are you having? An executor.
You know what? When parents have a kid just to give their older kid a kidney,
Yeah.
that's what your mom was doing, but will execution.
She saw it in your eyes at 11. She was like, this is
Kick
who
into
I-
admin, yeah. That was it.
That's so good.
She's got like an emergency file, and it's just like, when I go, here's all the information. Here's what you need to do. Here's all the progress. My dad's alive and well. He could have done this.
She knows he's not gonna
Yeah.
handle it.
It's me.
Wait,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
So, but the point is that all I've got of what the family reaction has been via my mother
Yes, yeah.
bitching, who I'd say has a propensity to be skeptical of the in-laws
Okay,
in
yeah.
a sort of cartoonish way. So yeah, I guess my view is a bit skewed, but I think my granddad, there's probably a lot of repressed shame about leaving Justin back there. I think is what was said is that perhaps there was thoughts that maybe it wasn't his baby, which is definitely not true if you see that. Yeah. So that's perhaps why it
Also,
happened.
certainly some complex situation. I thought, and then, do you think the plan was that they would always move back, or did they move back as a result? Was the move back expected?
I think the move back was part of the financial situation of the time and where the best building work was.
A couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I kind of understand why your granddad is cold now, because it would have to mean going back on decades of like your own decision, and that is, it's just like you would convince yourself that you were right, because you can't live with the accountability of the fact that you were wrong. That would be too much to bear.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense to me. But imagine your grandma who lived her entire life thinking about him.
Yeah.
Like if that's the thing that you decide to leave behind.
Yeah, it's
his
really
name.
wild to say to feel. Shows you obviously like had thoughts about it and feelings about it, and then
Yeah.
left it to land. Crazy.
It's so strange because you see on all the time, you see these like family reconnection shows, and they're like, we found your mother she's passed away, and so you never get to meet her. And it kind of, it's always like feels like so quite sad, but it's very weird to experience it live.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm a generation removed. Even then, it was still just like, that's just unthinkable. It's really, it's very hard to fathom what that must feel like.
You've learned some huge things about your family.
Yeah.
Do you have any other crazy secrets, stories, bits?
That's a good question. I don't think so. My family's quite tame from my parents' generation downwards. We're quite normal, and everyone does various different things.
What's your sibling situation?
I've got I've got a brother and a sister. They're technically both half brothers and half sisters, but again, it was always drilled into me by my dad that that sort of labeling doesn't really mean anything.
Older, younger?
Oh, much older. Yeah, my brother is 11 years older than me, and my sister is 18 years older than me, maybe. I think. Yeah. I was. I think my mother had me very late. I was. Yeah, I think. Well,
she needed a will executor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Those two things go hand in hand.
These two other kids, they're not interested.
Yeah, so I think I was, as much as it's a problematic term, I think I was quite a geriatric pregnancy, really.
How old was she?
I don't know. I can't do that. She's very effusive.
We don't have to say your mother's age on this podcast.
Obfuscating. What's the word?
Obfuscating.
Yeah, about her day of birth. I can do the maths and work out what it is, but for her sake, I shan't.
Yes, with respect. We will revel everything on this podcast apart from the age of any woman.
Yeah.
But she certainly looks good for
her age.
She really does,
Good.
Like, because she's almost the same age as my boyfriend's grandma, and his grandma is. It's a grandma. She's a grandma.
Yeah,
she looks like an old woman. And my mother, she's a battle axe. She does not. Yeah.
I confirm this because my mom had my brother at 44 and he's now 20 and she looks amazing comparing to her friends who did not have that. And it's like a child keeps you young.
That's the secret to you.
A child keeps you young. Because she's like, you got to be switched on because you have a teenager in your house that you need to like make sure does their SAT.
And you're around other younger parents.
Yeah, exactly.
More
you're
regularly
constantly
as
active.
well.
Although I would say the pressure of looking after a teenager was maybe not in my case. I was very independent, as we've established.
But you were just like the most pleasant teenager.
I was the
to look
easiest.
after.
Do you know what's great? My nephew, William, he came down to do college in Bournemouth. He's from Kent. He lives in Kent, but he came down to do college in Bournemouth. So he moved in with my parents, and so then they had an experience of like a proper teenager. And they were like, oh my God, Andrew, you were the easiest child ever. This is a teenager going out with his friends, like worried about him doing drugs and stuff. And I was just there like, oh, my VHS of Cats has been overwritten. Oh God, I hope I find a new one soon. Yeah.
What were when you were a teenager? What were your interests? What was your vibe? Who is your close friendship group? Paint us a picture of Andrew as a young teen. Obviously, you're not that far off being a teenager.
I was going to say up until I'd say 14, 15 is a very different image. I think 14, 15 when I started to learn a little bit about our old friend Shame.
Yeah, we turned things around.
It really did. I really adjusted myself and adapted myself from about that age. But pre that, very precocious, loved performing, loved acting, loved musical theatre. I was in the Poetry Society. I had a collection of fedoras and hats.
I just knew you would be a fedora. It would it wouldn't have occurred to me, but now you say it, I'm like, yeah, you were a fedora boy for sure.
It was really cringy. There's some stuff I look back on, I'm like, it's really cringy. And then I don't know what happened.
And it's so well documented because you're so young.
Yeah, oh God, there's so many. I'll see if I can find
it's all there.
A picture of it of me like in my fedora with like my Crocs and stuff, just out of shot. I was a very cringy child.
No, you were dressing fun. You were enjoying things. You were having a good time. Then you had to pull it all in because everyone else sucks. And then you were into being at home, being quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you were into going out and doing some comedy.
Well, no, I actually started comedy at 15. So,
so you weren't even at home being quiet.
No, around the time I sort of started becoming less cringy, I started doing comedy. It's questionable when the actual transition happened. My friend Henry claims, my childhood friends, Henry's one of them. He claims that, pardon me, he claims that, sorry, I just get very emotional.
Everyone's starting comedy story. It is sad.
He claims that he saved me from obscurity. He claims that when I was a year 7, year 8, I was an absolute loser, which is true, and that because of his my association with him is why I got cool.
He's
Who
the Tom
needs-
Hanks in the Elvis biopic.
Who
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
enemies when you got a Henry telling you he made you? That's funny.
Oh, can I just relive my favourite moment of
You must.
of the Elvis biopic?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's it's him doing his awful accent. Is and who would have thunk that the little kid from Nashville, Tennessee, would be the biggest star in the world? Is that even possible? And then it's a spinning roulette wheel, which transitions into a spinning version of Tom Hanks's face as
The face
as the colonel.
spins?
Yeah, it like spins into his face. It's like, oh, is it possible for this boy to become the world superstar? And then he's got like a poker chip, and he goes, "Wanna bet?" Beautiful. My favorite moment of the
He
film.
loves to play Eastern European. How do you feel about Tom Hanks playing Eastern European?
I give him a blank check for anything. Given the fact
He's allowed. The greatest actor of our generation.
I'm sorry, I'll say this. There are other men in the Hanks family doing more problematic
That's
accents.
true. They really are putting him into perspective. I watched such a bad. It's mean to start such a bad film,
Please.
but I watched The Pope's Exorcist,
Oh yeah.
which is apparently based on a book, a real book about a real man
Okay.
who was an exorcist for the Pope, and he claims he did thousands of exorcisms. The dates don't check out. And then I was like, how's he counting thousands? And then he was like, sometimes thousands of demons are in one body.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
But my favorite thing about the entire film, okay, two things I loved about the film. One thing is he rides a little Vespa scooter around. He works at the Vatican, and then he's going
Yeah,
to
very
this
Italian.
town near Madrid in Spain to deal with one of the demons, the devil. And he one shot of him juddering off on his scooter. I looked it up. 18 hours in a car it would take you to get between the two.
no.
Yeah, they really, it's like insane. But
But
love
also,
it.
imagine taking a Vespa to an exorcism.
He's doing it. He's going. Russell Crowe, I will say, doing an okay Italian accent, I feel like, but at times it does verge on a little Dolmio. You know what I mean? He's like, you gotta get the devil out of here. It's like, ooh, I don't know, Crowe, if you should have done that.
Oh,
That's very funny.
Wouldn't recommend, but whatever. You could watch it.
That
you
is-
could,
you could watch
That's
it.
my review. You could
Really,
watch
really
it.
funny.
It is available to be watched.
New Netflix collection. You could watch this.
If nothing else,
You pig.
put it on in the background.
I found a picture of this is me as a child.
Oh my goodness.
I guess I'm about
Oh my
age
God, I'm
six
obsessed with you.
here.
We'll have to share it somehow, but you
And then
adorable. You
this-
look very different though.
Yeah, I used to be very skinny. What happened was, and I hate this, I'm trying to do a comedy about this to sort of address my shame around this. I went to a private primary school. So this is me at a private school. But I was
In your
private.
little blazer.
Yes, but what I did was I was private from like age 4 till 8, which feels like a waste because all that's happened is that I've been formed at such a very integral age into a precocious cunt. But I've not been kept on to make any connections to make use of it. You know, I like you just made me into a very insufferable person, kicked me into the mainstream education, and I don't even have like any like old chums I can call on now.
You don't have any banker buddies.
So that's me age 6, and then
You're adorable.
I went to a who'd have thunk it. When you go to a state school, the foods aren't as healthy. They don't have like a nutritionist planning all the meals, and they don't have like loads of PE equipment and fields to run in. And so I just piled on the pounds. And then this is my fedora era.
No,
Wait, why is your hair dark?
Yeah, my hair's been. I started blonde and then went very dark, and it's sort of come back to this
Were
now.
you wearing a fedora every day? Also, that's not
Wearing
just
fedora a
food
lot.
related as well. Like teenagers, like all sort of gain weight, lose weight. You know what I mean? Like body things happen to
Fedora.
teens as they
True.
grow.
I just remembered there's another picture on my Instagram at Stand Up Andrew. There's that. It probably
What did you
shows
think
me
the
perfectly.
fedora was giving you?
I don't know.
Sophistication.
Who were you dressing like? They're cool sunglasses.
Okay,
I
well,
wear
I'm in
those.
love with you.
Yeah.
He's also wearing. Is it a Kermit shirt?
Yeah, it says I mean to be green or to me.
A Kermit shirt, I'll describe for our readers. A Kermit shirt, square sunglasses, a fedora hat, and you're sitting in like an old-timey car.
Yeah, this is my granddad. So my granddad's really into old cars. So this was like some.
You look cool as hell.
Drive
It's,
along.
it's giving Bugsy Malone. It's giving
Yeah,
Blues
yeah,
Brothers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
I don't know.
Fuck your bitch.
Yeah, truly. Visualize that. Who would want a fedora in your head that you were like the fedora's the answer?
I literally don't know. I don't know where this has come from in my head to be so obsessed. I had a whole hat collection. I still do. I've not thrown any of them out. Mostly fedoras, a few fezzes, a very culturally inappropriate like Chinese hat. But I got it from China. I don't know if that makes it better or not.
That's okay.
Yeah. And just weird. I don't know why I got so obsessed with hats. And I've sort of come back into wearing caps because my hairline's going. But I don't like hats
You just
at all.
love that. I once got confiscated at school. I had like effectively, I think it was a fedora. It was like a sort of angular thing, but I was wearing it because I'd seen Chicago the musical. It got confiscated day one, minute one, day one.
Should have got 1 day. You get a pass after Chicago.
That might be what it is. I do love musical theatre. I was in Bugsy Malone when I was about 13.
Well, there you go. That's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask both of you what's the most obscure item you'd leave in your will, but I think it's obviously your hat
My
collection.
hat collection, yeah.
That's a
Which
really
one of
good
you would
one.
like it?
Yeah, well, are you okay?
Yeah,
does it
we'll
have to be
split it.
preserved? Does it have to be preserved as
Oh
a
yeah,
group?
does it have to go to a
Yeah.
museum? It needs to be. That's the
Can't be
division.
separated.
What's the most obscure thing you'd leave in your will?
Oh God, I think that painting of me as a child,
You do have that really
There's
excellent painting
an oil painting of me as an
with
8-year-old,
one big foot.
with one big foot, bigger than my head.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in my house now.
It's
fantastic.
amazing.
It looks like a shrine to me.
It's amazing.
Would you like it, Charlie?
I'll have that. I mean, the thing, not in my will, but I do think a lot about who gets my dog if I die suddenly. I mean, obviously, my boyfriend, the obvious one, but then I'm like, who could I give my dog to who would be like most annoying for them to have it, you know? It's like, who can he really cause some chaos on to the end
Your
of
brother?
his life?
He's got a big house.
My brother would hate to have my dog, so I should leave it to my brother.
And he has a
Yeah.
backyard, so it's like
Yeah.
the dog needs.
The dog
all
can
that
have a nice
room.
life. Look, the dog will have a nice life. The dog will make sure the dog has a nice life wherever the dog goes. The dog is looking out for number one. But
That's like such a classic, like, heartwarming comedy, isn't it? Where you like got left a dog of a relative who died, and you really miss the relative, and then you connect with the dog. And, I always hated that damn dog. And,
yeah.
Very good.
And it, like, looked up at you like, oh.
So I'm really giving it someone a gift.
And if I know anything about Louis will instinctively find your grave and then bark and be very annoyed at it.
Be furious. Yeah. He's
They're
an
gonna do
asshole.
like Greyfriars Bobby, but it's just him just barking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'd
Taking
sit
a
on my
shit.
grave for 2
Yeah.
minutes and then he'd be like, is there a bed near here? You know what I mean? It's be like, is there somewhere I can sit where I'm not allowed to sit? I'd rather be like soft. Yesterday I came in, he was sitting on my bed, which he isn't even supposed to do, but whatever. It's like, we no longer can fight this. And he was like licking his own paws so intensely that he'd like made a wet patch on my duvet. Isn't that gross?
I'm
That
about
is
to say
gross.
one of the most bizarre things ever, but I want you to really hear it.
Tell me.
Louis would objectively suit a fedora.
Okay, actually
amazing.
truly believe that.
You look amazing.
You really?
Well, I've got a collection.
Get
I'll
him
leave
in.
it to Louis. There you go.
Let's get him
You
in.
look amazing.
When do you think was the last time you wore a fedora? What was
Can we keep that question for every episode?
what was the final moment?
I think it must have been around 13, 14. I think I've worn it since, like going through my hat collection, just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but not
like,
out.
No, not out. 13, 14.
You had one last day that you took it off and you just.
But he would have never known that was the last.
Oh my god,
Oh,
so
but you didn't know.
sad.
That is
Yeah.
sad.
One day you put down your fedora, and it's the last, and you never know.
Have you ever? Did you inherit any objects or things or anything from anyone in your family? Have you ever inherited anything?
No, everything's sort of, because there's generations above me. Everyone's kind of gone for the blanket will of just like, oh, you deal with this shit. So there's not been like a specific, you get this, you get this, you get this. Like when my Uncle Bill died, he left some money, and I bought a fucking Doctor Who book.
Yeah, that's a nice way to remember him by.
Exactly, because I was like 11 or something. Now, of course, if somebody had died and left it some money, I'd probably buy some sort of memento of them. Unless, or not with all of it.
I don't know. I think you should. Enjoy it. Enjoy them. However you.
Yeah.
No,
It's
you can
not
all-
commemorative money.
No, true, I guess, but no, I've not really been left things. I need to go through my granddad's old music. He gave me a piano, but that's
What?
while he was still alive, he gave me the piano.
That counts.
Yeah, he got quite bad arthritis towards the end, so he had to stop playing the clarinet, and then he had to stop playing the piano. I think it was really sad, really, because he'd played music since.
Yeah, that's
since he
really
was 8.
hard.
We have a very beautiful video of him. We all had a family Christmas last Christmas, or maybe Christmas before, where we Christmas before, sorry, but the last time before my granddad got a bit bedbound and stuff. A bit bedbound. Fully bedbound.
Touch of the bed boundies.
Yeah. We had a family Christmas in a big house, and we all
Amazing.
like rented this big Airbnb, and there's a piano there, and there's a video of him playing it, and that's the last time he played the piano.
Oh, but lovely.
But because he had to stop, and I was playing the piano and composing stuff, he gave me a piano. I'd say 5-6 years ago. So yeah, so that counts as my
literally
inheritance, I guess.
huge and emotionally huge thing to have inherited.
Yeah.
Because it's the fact that you've inherited a thing that sort of symbolizes.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
really
nice.
sweet.
That's so nice. What's been given to you from in your family?
My grandmother every year would buy me part of like a china set. So she'd be like one cup, one like plate or whatever. So now I think I have like a half full one because she did die.
Like a formal china.
Yeah.
Do you ever have you ever
I think it's
used
like
it?
meant to be wedding china.
Oh, that's sweet,
Yeah,
but
for
only
my-
half done, and then it's kind of you got to buy the whole set and then distribute it, and then when you die, the rest of the set is in your house and goes to the person. You know what I mean?
I mean, I love how quickly you came up with that plan. Or is the fact that I'm getting half a wedding china set means that I'm going to be alone forever?
Oh,
it could be that because it's enough for just me.
Okay.
Half of one. is
Okay, I
enough
like
for
that a
just
little
me.
bit.
Do you know those like little ladybug books that are like, oh, the student, the hangover, they're like parodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One year, my parents got me the student and the hangover, like the year before I was meant to go to university, and then one day, I found a third book called Dating that my parents had clearly bought to give me the whole 3, and then they were like, no.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I just found it in the cupboard where we like keep gifts. I was like,
No.
Why was this never given to me?
No.
Isn't that brutal?
That
That
is
is-
so good.
Oh.
Day.
They bought all 3 and then they discussed it.
Yeah,
And they were like,
that's good. They must have had a summit about this and decided that no, either they didn't want to think about me dating, didn't want me to talk about dating, or they just assumed I was the lonely virgin. Which, based on these fedora images,
yeah,
you
they
could
didn't want to
forgive.
make you
Yeah.
feel bad.
You can't have both a book on dating and a collection of fedoras. It has to be one of them.
My nana, the year after I left university, suddenly made this like big announcement, and she was like, "I'm going to give everyone their inheritance. Everyone's getting their inheritance. I'm going to give you your inheritance." She like made this statement, and then everyone was like, "What is happening?" And so she gave me £500. We all got £500, right? And then I used it to buy half a laptop, and then that was my laptop that I used. So thank you, Nana. She's not dead. I don't know why I'm being like thank you, Nana. Thank you, Nana, who is still alive. But then I think she thought she was going to die then, but she's obviously continued to live.
And she's come back for the 500
And has no money. So now my parents have to like buy stuff for her because she gave it all away.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah. It's like when I quit my job the
Yeah.
week before COVID started.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
That's the same energy.
It
That's
is same
brutal.
energy, just like giving out. She gave me a watch, I think it's like a gold watch. It's like very 1950s. I've never worn it or done anything with it, but that was like a nice thing from her. I think just more sentimental than it. Like maybe it was like a wedding present or something. It's a nice thing to be given.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to do with it. I've got my other grandma's wedding rings.
Ooh.
Yeah, got them in a box somewhere. I got a great aunt of mine gave me a Seder candle holder that was my grandma's apparently. That you put you open it up. It's like a travel one, and then I have that. I think someone tried to ask for that back off me afterwards though, but then I didn't give it to them. But I've got that. Someone was then like trying to snoop around to see where that was, but it's mine now. So, Taff, whoever you are.
Shall we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. What a lovely chat this has been.
Thank you so much,
A
Andrew.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
A delight to speak to you. We've learned so much. I think they're huge, big stories in your family. You
Okay,
really
you
set that up
own
like it
Leeds
was small.
Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm your great grandma.
That's a crazy story in your dad's family. How interesting.
Yeah, it's good. We still keep in touch with Justin. Like, he called to gloat about the South African sporting results recently.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
there you
good.
go.
Set that
Yeah.
up.
And
Amazing.
his wife Ingrid, my aunt, I guess now, and my mum regularly FaceTime to bitch about my granddad.
And to
So
get
there you
the
Oh,
private
that's really,
investigator
really nice.
business
Yeah.
going.
So yes, if you need any private investigating done or your will executed, you know who to call.
All
And
right.
acting jobs, thank you.
This episode of Family Jewels was produced by our nephew, Andrew White, and our very special guest, Andrew White.
Producing and starring and writing and singing the theme tune.
In the Trusty Honk studio.
I've been your one fun cousin, Charlie Dinkin.
And I've been your dad's brother who's still living in the basement, but promises he's leaving any day now, Olga Koch.
Like, subscribe, share, and talk about us at your next family reunion.
If you have any family stories, secrets, or skeletons that you want to share, DM us on Instagram.
Or leave them to us in your will.